Utinni!
What is up, everybody? Happy Friday. It is Friday, January 17th. So today on Utinni Designs Workshop, we're going to do a client project live. So let's hope we don't screw it up. But what I've done is I have a client that wants an acrylic piece created in the shape of a puzzle piece for his child. His child's doctor is retiring, so they want a puzzle piece. It is an autistic situation, and they want letters engraved. So what I've done is I've created this mock-up, and I just cut this out of 6mm basswood and 3mm basswood, and then 6mm basswood for the base. And that was mainly just to get to where the tabs could line up and everything. And I wanted to see if I got the size right. And I think I got it pretty much spot on the way I want it. So we're going to cut that out of acrylic and walnut today. And then we're going to put it together. So hopefully everything fits like it did in the prototype. I haven't changed any settings. So hopefully that all works out. And yes, you can pull this out if you really want to and try. Probably won't do it right at the moment just because I have it lined up just the way I want, so I can double check against the one we're actually going to cut. But the laser will cut the puzzle piece out of green glass acrylic, and that green glass acrylic is actually from Glowforge. There is a link in the description for the walnut and the green glass acrylic. Man, I can't talk today. Where I got those, and so that way you guys, if you guys are interested in that type of stuff, you can click on that link and go directly to the same places that I purchased mine from. Same for the 3mm walnut that we're going to be putting on top of this, just to kind of give it that finished look. And so let's get started. So I have my P2S from xTool set up here, and we're going to show you what we got. So this may be a little hard to see at first, but hopefully you can get the gist of it here. So I'm going to move this to a different layer just so you can see a little bit better. Now we're going to cut out the walnut piece first, and we're going to cut it out of 3mm walnut. Okay, so let me zoom in here. As you can see, I got this piece set up already. I'm trying to use as little extra wood as possible, just in case I do mess it up. That way I have plenty of wood left over, and I'm going to do the same on the acrylic as well. Try to use a piece that I already have. That way I'm not messing up a whole new piece if something doesn't go correct. So always keep your scrap wood pieces around, your scrap acrylic around, because you never know, you might be able to salvage some of it instead of just tossing it. And trust me, materials are far too expensive to toss if you don't have to. So keep that in mind. So the way I have this set up is I have the middle piece here, which if you can see me in the little view here, it's going to be this top piece. Okay, that's what we're cutting out first, is this top piece, and we'll save the big acrylic pieces for last. So I'm cutting this out of 3mm walnut, and I'm using the cut settings on the P2S. We are at 60 power, 25 speed, and 1 pass. I've not adjusted anything else, and I'm just going to do a quick aim measure here to double check we got our measurements right. It says it's 4mm, which is probably about accurate. It really shouldn't matter, to be honest, on this part of it, because it's just a simple cut. So I'm going to go ahead and process this. And as you can see, here is our shape. This is what it's going to cut out. Pretty simple. The biggest issue that you have cutting out of different thicknesses of material is the kerf on these slots. Now, I am not an expert in kerf. I have talked to an expert in kerf over at Blue Light Designs, and he explained it in a way that made sense, but then I go try to apply it and I can't get it. So I played around with this just a little bit. What I did is I actually, let me blow myself back up here so you can see what I've done. I actually did several different pieces. I did small pieces, and I adjusted the squares on each one. And then what I did was I took this puzzle piece, and now I probably won't be able to get it out because that's the way I designed it. Once it's in, it's in. So let me try to pull this out here without breaking anything. I may not be able to get it. There we go. All right, so what I did is I cut out these pieces, and then I would test fit to see if they fit in there. Now, see, this one's pretty loose. See how loose that is? That's no good. You don't want that. You want a snug or tight fit. So then I did another adjustment. This one was too tight. Okay, can't hardly get it on there, but it is snug once you do get it on. So then I did another one. That one obviously was too loose again. And then this one was better, but still loose. And I think I ended up going up with this one here, which was 6.2 millimeters on the thickness. Now, what's interesting is this green glass acrylic that I'm going to be cutting out is only 6 millimeters thick. So why did I go 6.2? Well, 6.2 allows me to get it in there. You don't want to cut a 6 millimeter thickness piece of material and have a 6 millimeter hole. It ain't going to fit. It might, depending on just the material, but more than likely you're going to have an issue getting it in the hole, okay? So you want to make that hole just a little bit bigger. And that's basically what I got from his video on YouTube that I watched. And there's a whole lot more science behind it than I can explain. But basically you just want it snug, but you want it slightly larger than what your tabs are going to be, okay? Anybody that does woodworking or anything like that knows about kerf, especially with the saw blade and stuff. That plays into that as well. So that explains how I've kind of gotten to the point that I'm at, and hopefully it all works out when we do the actual cut. So let me go back again. This is what we're cutting here. I'm going to go ahead and hit start on this. And let me switch cameras here so you can see the laser in action. It will get a little loud, but I will try to, it'll be a quick cut, okay? So everything is set up. We're going to hit the start button. Going to cut out the little tabs first, and then it's going to cut out the actual piece. So very, very quick, very easy. And again, my settings on this for this cut was 3 millimeter black walnut plywood, one-click settings from xTool, 60 power, 25% or 25 speed, and 1 pass. So now if I raise this up, we should be able to pop this directly out. Let me switch you back to the camera so you can see that. So since we're probably not going to cut on this again, I am just going to remove it, because hopefully we got it right the first time. There we go. Everything cut well. Let me grab this little piece here. We don't want to leave any little pieces in the laser, okay? And this one, ooh, did that one even cut out? Yep, it did. I probably could have gone up a little bit on the power, just slightly, but it did cut. So nice and clean. So we can remove this piece now. And our next piece is going to be the green glass acrylic. I'm just going to blow that off here. I may actually wipe it down because it does look kind of dirty. But we're going to do this next. So I'm just going to get this set up here for y'all. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. Hey, Carl. Thanks for showing up. So I'm just getting these set up to where this hopefully doesn't move. And getting these little clips set up here. So I probably did this the wrong way because I do want to wipe this off first. So let me get a paper towel. I know some of you are going to scream, "Oh my God, paper towel!" But I'm literally just lightly wiping it. Nothing too extravagant. Okay. And the reason I'm doing that is because we are now going to take Dawn dish soap and let me switch cameras here again real quick. So we're just going to take Dawn Platinum dish soap, okay? We're just going to put a little bit on the acrylic where we're going to engrave, because we have this set up to where it's going to engrave and cut at the same time. So let me switch you back here, and then we'll switch over to this. All right. So we're just going to take just a tiny bit. Nothing too extravagant. And we're just going to squeeze a little bit on here. This is going to basically act as a masking. I'm cutting out a heart box. Very cool. Very cool. You have a P2S as well there, Carl? So I'm just going to spread this around with the paper towel so I don't get my fingers all soapified. And I am going to spread it around past where I'm going to engrave, because I can always wash this acrylic off later. So we just want a thin coat of acrylic. Let me grab that clip that just fell. Put that back on there so we have a nice sturdy surface. I'm going to use just a little bit more. He has a Sculpin S9 5 watt. Very nice. Very nice. Lasers are an amazing thing. They really are. So I'm just going to spread out a little bit of more of this Dawn dish soap. And again, I knocked off another clip. Probably should have put the soap on before I put the clips on. But we're just going to get this soaked up here a little bit. And again, this soap acts on the acrylic as kind of like masking tape. Because what I've found, at least with this particular acrylic that I'm using from Glowforge, the green glass acrylic, is if you engrave on it and you do not use Dawn dish soap, it doesn't matter if you use masking tape, it doesn't matter if you leave the paper on that comes from the manufacturer, it will heat up the particles from the acrylic engraving and then burn them back into the clear piece of acrylic. I don't know if it's just with this type of acrylic or what, but I've had good luck using Dawn dish soap to basically try to keep that from happening. I'm gonna get this clip on here, and we're just gonna take the dry part of our paper towel and just kind of, it doesn't have to be super thick. You don't have to use half a bottle or anything like that. Just a couple squirts, and then just kind of spread it around. And now we're going to lower this. Sorry about that. All right. Let me throw this in the trash here. So we have our acrylic ready on the P2S. Hey Ken, I have a Rolly 1030 and an xTool P2 and an F1. Yeah, I just got this xTool P2S a couple weeks ago, so I don't have a whole lot of experience with it. I also have an xTool F1 Ultra, which I did a video on yesterday, day before yesterday, on engraving some metal and stuff. Everything turned out really well. So this is maybe my third or fourth acrylic project. And it's for a client, so hopefully I don't mess it up. But I just let things roll live because I feel like the live streams do a little bit better helping. People can ask questions. I don't really have anything pre-set up. And if I make a mistake, you see it live, and hopefully we figure out how to fix it live. So I think that's a little bit more educational and informational than just a pre-set up, pre-recorded talking head. I could be wrong on that, but that's the way I like to do it. Plus, I absolutely hate editing video. You need a bigger laser. We always need a bigger laser. I thought the xTool F1 Ultra was as big as I was going to need, and then I quickly found out I needed a bigger one. So that's why I got the xTool P2S. So let me switch back over here to our design screen. And we're just going to minimize this side here because we don't really need that. And I'm going to zoom in for you all here. So as you can see, I have not refreshed the screen yet. The acrylic is in the machine, but as you can see, it still shows wood. So the first thing we need to do is refresh the background. Boom. Now we have acrylic in there. The next thing we need to do is we need to auto measure, and one small issue I may have is I didn't bring down a sheet of paper to lay on top of the acrylic to get an auto measurement. So let me see if I have one here lying around that I could just kind of throw in there that isn't super thick. Because you don't want anything super thick, because that would throw off your entire measurement. So bear with me just for a second here. So what we're going to do is I'm going to raise this up, and I'm just going up here in the top corner where I know we probably are not going to laser, and I'm just going to lay down this little sticker, and I'm going to refresh so you can see that right up here in the top left corner, and that's where we're going to auto measure from. So I'm going to do a quick aim to measure right here, and that gives us 6.7 millimeters. So I'm actually going to drop that to 6.5 just to kind of drop it down a little bit. And then I'm going to remove that piece of paper because we don't need it in there. So as you can hopefully see on the screen here, let me make sure it's still capturing. Let's see. That's what we do on our laser show, help people. Yep. That's one nice thing about the laser community is there's a lot of people helping and everything, and it's really great. All right, so what I've done is I've taken this puzzle piece that I showed you a prototype of, and I'm basically going to move it in here, and I'm going to rotate it in a way where I can fit two pieces if I need to. Hopefully we won't need to, but I'm going to do it just in case. And it's going to be kind of hard to see on the screen probably, but I'm going to go in here and get a close shot, make sure I'm not over the edge here. So the close shot cleaned it up a little bit, and we just want to make sure that we're not going over the edge here. And then I'll do a close shot on this side. And I think we're good there. And then we'll do one more close shot on this edge. And this is just me being anal about it, because I really don't want to mess up more acrylic than what I need. And that looks good there. Okay. So we're going to delete the close view because we don't need that anymore. Refresh the background one more time. Now, some people will say when you're using acrylic, you can put a piece of paper down below just to get your framing, and then you remove it before you laser. You can do that. It's an added step, but I don't find I really need to. My eyeballs are still fairly good at 48 years of age, so. And the close-up camera really helps with this. So what I've done is, again, I've taken this piece and I've moved it to hopefully where, and I'm just going to double check that. I'm going to make a copy of it and move it down. So hopefully if we mess it up, we can still get one more cut out of this. So, yep, looks like I can get one more cut out of it. So that's what I want. I mean, it's just barely, but it'll work. You know what I didn't check? I didn't check this top part right here. So let me check that. That looks pretty close. I think we'll be okay. I think what I'm going to do, just for sake of argument, and so we can see this better, is I'm just going to put a sheet of wood in the bottom just to give it some contrast. Obviously, we're not going to laser the wood, and we'll remove it before we do our engraving. But just for safety's sake. So what I'm doing is I'm just putting a piece of material on the bottom so I can refresh the background here. And as you see, we have a lot more contrast here. So now we can really see the edge. So now I can really get down in here, see where this edge is at. Yep, we are good to go on that. So we can delete the close view, and we're going to pick our wood out because we just use a contrast piece. Close up our laser, and let's get to engraving this thing. So I actually forgot about this piece over here, so we're just going to drag it in here and basically align it with the other piece. Because this is going to be the base of the stand. And let's bump this up just a tad. All right, so our cut settings for both pieces, there's going to be 90% power, 6% speed, 1 pass. And again, that's for both pieces. And then our engraving is going to be 25% power, 350 millimeters speed, and 240 lines per centimeter. Okay. So this is going to engrave first, and then it's going to cut. So hopefully we can get this all in one shot without messing up $30 worth of acrylic. Let me get back to the comments here. I'm 48 too. I just bought my first pair of reading glasses this week. Well, yeah, congratulations on achieving that goal there. I actually got my first progressive lenses about 3 weeks ago. So I'm right there with you, my friend. Let's see. I'll have to remember the dawn hint. I did some acrylic over Christmas, and I thought I engraved too deeply because it ended up with debris on the bottom of the engraving. For me, it was okay. Yes, the dawn, and I can show you an example of what I'm talking about with it, with the laser engraving and then heating up the dust and then it adhering to the clear acrylic. I'll show you that here in just a little bit. And I'll show you that. That's why I use the dawn. Let's see. I'm going to try Dawn. Yep, Dawn dish soap. I didn't believe it. I tried the masking, that didn't work. I tried the paper, that didn't work. And then somebody told me use Dawn dish liquid. Did that. Perfect result. Doesn't matter if it's wet, doesn't matter if it's dry. I mean, obviously this is kind of dried now on there since I've been flapping my lips for a little bit. But we're going to get ahead and go do this here. So let me switch my cameras here for you. So here's our laser view. And we've measured, we've aligned. We should be good to go. We're going to hit process. Make sure everything shows up correctly. We did mirror this. And the reason I mirrored it is so when it engraves, it's going to engrave on the back. So then when I flip the acrylic over, the acrylic will be clean and flat on the front. So the engraving's on the back side of the award or the gift or whatever you're engraving. So that helps too. So make sure you mirror, especially if you're engraving text. So we're going to hit start. We're going to hit OK. And here we go. Let's cross our fingers and hope this works here. So while this is engraving, I will show you what I was talking about. So this is my very first piece that I engraved, okay? The engraving I engraved on the front side, but as you can see, even with masking and even with the tape that came on it, see those really, these areas right here, the foggy areas, you cannot get that off. I've tried 4WD-40, I've tried Gooby Gone, I've tried Bar Maker's Friend, everything. You cannot get that off. You can scrape it off with your fingernail, but even then it doesn't come off. And what that is that's the dust from the acrylic engraving getting heated back up from the laser and then adhering to the clear part of the acrylic. So what I found is A, use Dawn liquid soap, and B, mirror it to where it engraves on the back side. So when you flip it, this side is not engraved, but you still see the engraving through it. Hopefully that made some sense. And again, as you see on the bottom of the scroll, we're trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. So if you know anybody that's interested in lasering or watching some old fluffy guy mess up acrylic or wood or catch something on fire, God, I hope that doesn't happen, then have them like and subscribe. I do different things, not only on the P2S, but the F1 Ultra. I also do some design videos. I'm a 25-year graphic designer, mainly in the motorsports industry, but a lot of that, because I use vector, translates to laser engraving, 3D printing, that sort of thing. I'm also a 3D graphic artist. So gonna have a lot of different things on here. And of course, if you like Star Wars, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I do have a Star Wars collection. Sometimes I do reviews and stuff on that as well. So I'm just looking at this engraving. It looks like it's going down pretty good. It is going to take just a little bit, about 17 minutes roughly, to engrave and cut these two pieces. So if you have any questions or comments, throw them in the chat and let's chat about them. So you're not just listening to me flap my gums on while we're watching this. This is my first, I guess, year of lasers. Back in June, I bought the F1 Ultra. And then, like I said, about 3 weeks ago, I got the P2S. So really have enjoyed it. I also have a Bamboo Labs X1 Carbon 3D printer that I do a lot of stuff on as well. Where are y'all from? Post in the chat where you're located. Doesn't have to be specific, but just state or country. What glue will you use to put the pieces together? Patrick asks. Well, funny you should ask that. So normally you would probably use some type of glue like Gorilla Glue or a clear glue to do this. I am using what's called friction fit. So there will not be any glue needed to complete this project. And I'm using the friction fit. Let me switch cameras here so I can kind of show you. I'm using the friction fit method, which basically you have these tabs, right? And then you have these holes, and you get the holes to where the tabs fit in there very snugly. And obviously that won't let me push it through. But here's a better represent. See how snug that is? And this was my prototype piece. So you just keep pushing it through. Okay. And then this will be the acrylic base. And then you push that through. If I can get it lined up here. There we go. So that is a friction fit. It's not going anywhere. Okay. And so you don't need to use any glue. Because using glue with acrylic is kind of, I haven't done it a whole lot, but I know you can get some areas of cloudiness if you do it wrong. So that's why I do the friction fit, if at all possible. So this was the prototype that I did all my testing on. Still engraving, so that's a good sign. All right, Carl's from northwestern Missouri. I'm originally from south central Kansas, so I know exactly northwestern Missouri. Grew up probably around Kansas City area. Let's see, Jack. Actually, I'm sorry. Yeah, northwest would be Kansas City area. Jack in the shop, Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm in Kannapolis, North Carolina, so I know right where you're at. Just north of Denver, Colorado. I've been to Denver many times. I have family in Pueblo in Denver. Northwestern Arkansas. Yep, been through there too. I usually travel through Fort Smith when I go back home to Kansas. Yep, 55 miles north of KC. Okay, yep. Very cool. Well, thank you all for showing up, and hopefully we get some more people and more viewers. Once I reach 1,000 subscribers, I will be doing a pretty cool giveaway. I haven't quite decided what that is yet, but it will probably be, I'm going to say in the realm of between $300 and $500 prize. So that'll be at the $1,000 subscriber mark. So the faster we get there, the faster the prize will be. So that's my goal for 2025, is to reach at least 1,000 subscribers, and hopefully the watch hours will take care of itself. And then once it becomes monetized, any ad revenue I get from YouTube will be put directly back into prizes for my viewers. So I am not a YouTube expert by any means. I've only been doing this a little bit over maybe 8 months to a year. So, and only about 6 months with the lasers. So pretty new to it, but hopefully you all enjoy it. Let me switch the camera back to the laser here so you can see what is happening. I'm not sure if I can zoom that in or not. This particular camera, I don't think has a zoom on it. Because this is my overhead cam. Well, thank you very much, Carl. I appreciate that. I also have a Patreon. I don't have a whole lot on there yet, but I will be supplying files, laser engraving files, SVGs, that sort of thing. 3D print files for laser jigs. All that type of stuff is on there. It's $10 a month, and you have access to all those files for free. If you don't want to do a monthly subscription, you can buy those files separately, and their prices vary from $5 to like $8. So I also have files on Design Find as well. I'm just starting to put files up, so please be patient, and I will get more up as soon as I can. A lot of them right now are Christmas files or files for flasks or multi-purpose files that can be used on flasks, koozies, that sort of thing. So it looks like we're almost halfway. I think we're a little bit over halfway through the text here. So it's going pretty well. I don't see any issues thus far. Going to have to actually clean this laser for the first time, probably after the next two or three projects. They say clean it about every two to 3 hours of work time. Now, I know some people that haven't cleaned their machine in over a year, and I know some people that clean it every single day after they get done using it. So I'm trying to fall in that kind of middle ground. But from what I understand, it's pretty easy to clean this machine. You take out the laser, or take out the mirrors, wipe them down with some isopropyl, throw them back in. They're magnetic, so they automatically align. You take out the lens, you wipe it down with some isopropyl, throw it back in, and then you do your alignment check to make sure your mirrors are properly aligned, and then you're off to the races again. So probably about a 5 to 15 minute deal for somebody who's never done it before, and if you've done it more than once, probably 5-10 minutes tops. So pretty easy to maintain. Great machine though. So there's many different wood and acrylic manufacturers. Again, I left the links in the description for the manufacturer of the 3mm walnut that I'm using, as well as the green glass acrylic that I'm using. So you can check those out. Let's see here. Jack says, my CO2 has not been cleaned in a year. My diode has been cleaned once. I have not cleaned my fiber. Yeah, I mean, you know, I think it's all dependent on the material that you use. If you're using something that's really dirty, really sooty, dusty, if you're doing like slate coasters and that sort of thing, that stuff really gets all over my F1 Ultra. So I have to wipe down the shield quite a bit. I've wiped the lens once. I do not take the lens out of the F1 Ultra. I simply just wipe the glass with isopropyl and get it clean. But on the P2, it's a little bit more maintenance heavy, just because everything is kind of in there where the smoke and dust and everything is. Patrick says, I just did my first clean on the P2S, simple, and didn't really need it other than the filters. Yep. Carl says cleaned lens always works better. Yep. So now we're moving on to the cut. And then it's finished engraving. And for those that wonder, I am venting this out my garage door. I do have a smoke purifier, but it is the old version and not the new multi-layer 5 or 8 filters or whatever it is. But mainly because I vent outside, it doesn't matter. I do have the new inline duct fan though, and that works really well. Let's see. Jack says, I like the fiber for slate and stone. The lens is well above the engraved. Yep, it is. But there is a lot of dust and particulars that flies around in there. I noticed I actually took my shield off my F1 Ultra in order to clean it real well. And man, that dust got everywhere. So definitely something that that you want to check out, you know, at least every now and then. Where do you sell your items? A couple different places. This one's actually for a client of mine who's a friend, and he is, like I said, his son is autistic, and their doctor is retiring. So he wanted a gift to give to the doctor for the retirement. So that's what I'm making this for. My other items, I do have a vendor booth locally in Kannapolis. It's mainly 3D prints, but I do have some laser engraving stuff in there. But laser engraving usually is more custom and personalized, so it's hard to have a store with that type of stuff. So I have some samples in there, and I have a screen in there that shows a slideshow of stuff that I can do. And that way people can just take my business card and contact me when they have something they want custom engraved. You don't have a shield. You don't have a shield on your F1 Ultra? Or on your fiber? So you must have the like a Mon port or something. I'm assuming you at least wear laser glasses. Okay, yeah, 100-watt JPT. Boy, that thing will cut through some metal, won't it? Because that's a fiber, I believe, isn't it? I could be mistaken on that. I probably could have sped up the cut a little bit on this, but I'm just using the settings that xTool suggested. So it is almost done. And there it goes. Yeah, Mopar fiber. Yeah, so you get to do some really cool deep engravings of coins and cutting metal and all that type of stuff. The F1 Ultra will do coins. It'll do the deep emboss. Definitely not as well as a MOPA fiber, but you know, you're also not going to break any speed records with the F1 Ultra doing a deep emboss. I haven't seen a MOPA fiber in action personally, but from what I understand, those things can do a coin pretty quick versus the F1 Ultra that takes anywhere between 3 and 5 hours to do a decent coin. So let me go ahead and raise this up. I have a YouTube video turning rock into cotton. Interesting. I would like to see that. Shoot me a, let me put my email in here. And shoot me a link to that, please. I'd like to see that. All right. So, if this worked out correctly, we can just lift this right out, which it did. There's our two acrylic pieces. Here's our puzzle piece. And grab my clips out of here so I don't forget those. Don't want to forget the clips. All right. Let's close this back down. And let's flip this back to me. All right, so there's the result. Nice clean cut. And what looks like a good engrave. I have to go wash it off. And then here is the base plate. Again, don't worry about all this gooply gunk. I'll wash that off, get that clean. But we're going to do a test fit. And look at that. Very nice. Now that wood will help tighten that up a bit. So where did I put my wood piece at? I think it's this one. So we may need to go a little bit tighter, because you can see how that kind of wobbles a little bit. I don't like that. But I think what I can do is probably just put a little bit of glue in there, because for some reason the friction fit on my prototype is very tight. Like, I can't even hardly pull it apart tight. But on this, it's loose. I'm not sure why. On this, it's okay. I think I just have my holes a little bit too wide, because there's not left and right movement, it's front and back movement. So at the bare minimum, I need to tighten up my holes right in here. You kind of see that. So that's, at least I don't have to cut out another piece like this. This doesn't use near as much as acrylic, and this is just cheap wood, so I can adjust that pretty easily. So bear with me for just a moment, and I'll go wash this off, because I don't know if I have, let me see if this will work. I got some wet wipes here. That may just make a bigger mess with the soap on it, but we'll see. Got some paper towels, always good to have around. Let's see here what's going on in the chat. Bear with me for a second here. Sent. Oh, thank you, Jack. Probably due to moisture in the air that the wood absorbs and that the acrylic doesn't. Yeah, that could be. But I use the same exact piece to do the acrylic as I did the wood. And both slots are just slightly loose, top to bottom. Left to right, they're perfect. Top to bottom, they're just slightly loose. So that's not a big deal. I can always recut the acrylic base here and the wood base. So that's not a huge deal. I'm not super worried about that. Need to get a microfiber out here because I'm gonna end up scratching this acrylic. I think I have a microfiber. Bear with me just for a second. All right, sorry about that. Good old microfiber. That way we don't scratch the acrylic with the paper towel. Normally I have shop towels out here, but don't have any this time. So that is really nice. Turned out good. Now we'll take our little wet wipe and wipe the engraving and acrylic and see if we have any of that nasty residue left over. I don't think we will. And I'll clean this off a little better, obviously, before I give it to the customer, but just trying to get it somewhat so you guys can see it. All right, so there's the back side. As you can see, there's none of that hazing around the letters. Okay, and then this is what it looks like from the front side. So very, very clean. Turned out really good. Very happy with that. Now we just need to adjust our kerf on our slots. Because like I said, once I put that in there, it does have a little bit of lean to it, which obviously we don't want. And it's the same with the wood. So the wood has a little bit of lean to it, about the same amount. So I think what we can do is we'll try to fix this live. So let me go into our file here, and we're going to save that just to be on the safe side. We are going to take this off. Take this off and only have this. So what I'm going to do here is I think I can hide the background. Yep. So this is a compound path. So if I go in here to edit compound path, I should be able to adjust this. So this is 6.12 is the hole. It's 6 millimeter acrylic, and 6.1 was too much. So 6.025, or no, 6.1, 6.05 Should make it a little bit thinner, but I want to make sure that I take off the aspect ratio. So 6.0. Let's do 6.08. Just slight difference. And see, that one's even different. That one's 6.15. So .08. So what I'm going to do to test this, hopefully without messing up a bunch more acrylic, is we're going to copy that. We're going to hit done, paste it, and if it'll paste, it may not. All right, let's do it this way then. Copy, paste. We're going to release. Ungroup. We're going to delete one of those. And then we're going to adjust this little piece here. To where I literally just want basically the slot and a little piece to kind of grab onto. So this, we're going to back group. And we can turn this off. So now the only thing that should be on here is this. And we just want to double check this whole size, 6.08. So let me go back to the chat here. So we're going to try to fix this. So what I'm going to do is I have a piece of the wood that I can use to cut this out of. That's just scrap wood. So I'm just going to do that. I'm going to throw that in the laser and clamp it down, because I think if we get it close on the wood, it'll be close on the acrylic. Hopefully. All right. So bear with me here for just a moment. I'm going to refresh the background in the laser. And we're going to use up some of the scrap wood. So I'm going to grab this piece, move it up here. And we're going to get that as close to that as possible. I would say right about there would be good. And then we're just going to double check This piece here is 6.08. And we're going to set this to 3mm black walnut. And I'm just going to do a quick cut of 70 and 25. And we'll just do one more auto measure just to be sure, but try to keep it away from those clips. Let's see, that says 3.8, but I know it's 3mm. So that could be the issue possibly, but I don't think it is. So process, start. All right, so now let's see if this fixes that. So we got our little test piece here. Still a little loose. See, there's a gap. Definitely a gap there. So we need to make that even tighter than, because we went from 6.12 to 6.08. So let's do 5.85 and try that again. So we're just going to adjust this and make sure that we do not have aspect ratio locked. And 5.85. And we'll put our wood back in. This is where you keep your scrap wood. So you can do little things like this. You may need adjusting. So we're going to refresh. Grab these two pieces here. Again, we're going to move them as close as we can. Close shot it. Sounds like my UPS guy just showed up. Not exactly remember what I ordered, but all right. So let's switch my camera to that, and we will remove and process. Yeah, maybe new toys, Jack. I'm not sure. I don't remember ordering any new toys. It might be filament from my 3D printer. That's what it might be. All right, so let's switch this camera back and see where we're at here. Much better. Not near as much wiggle back and forth. Could probably still go slightly tighter. That was at 5.8, so we can, let's try 5.5 maybe. Oh. That was at 5.85. So let's switch this to 5.5. And I think we can get one more cut out of this piece here. Maybe. All right. Let's refresh background. And let's move all this up. Let's get a close shot. Yeah, I tried to, but again, I'm not an expert on kerf, so I think that's where my issue comes in, because I had the hole, and like I said, on my prototype, it fits snug, and that's 6mm basswood. It fits snug on everything, but the acrylic and the walnut were loose. So I think it's just I should have done the prototype out of little pieces of acrylic maybe, and that would have gotten it closer, because maybe the basswood expanded a little bit. Yeah, that's basically what I'm trying to adjust right now, is the hole size for this particular acrylic and wood, because the wood and acrylic seem to be pretty close in the size of the hole it makes. So I'm kind of at a loss, to be honest, but I'll figure it out. All right, so we're gonna shoot this again. And see where we're at. So I'm going to write on this piece the size that we're at, so I can keep these straight. And we were at 5.5. So let's switch back. So this is 5.5 hole. Woo, that's really, I don't even know if that fits. Yeah, that's not fitting. Ain't no way. So we went too far. So we were at 5.85 before. We went down to 5.5. So let's do 5.65. And let's get another piece of scrap wood here. And if you guys know of an easier way to do this, let me know. I'm just testing this on what I got here. All right. Let's refresh this again. And I think I'm going to not cut this piece. And I'm just going to cut the hole. So let's do it this way. Let's copy and paste that. We'll grab this bottom one here. And we'll make the bottom one 5.75. And the top one is 5.65. Because we know 5.85 is too much. So 5.75 engrave. And then we'll drag this one down a little bit. Copy, paste. 5.65. And then we'll match these up. So 5.75 is the bottom one. 5.65 should be this top one. Yep. Okay. Just so we're keeping it somewhat straight here. And then we'll make sure these cuts are the same. Process. I think we're getting close. So, switch cameras again. So this first hole is 5.65. That's pretty snug. The second hole is 5.75. That still has some wiggle. So somewhere between 5.65 and 5.7, I'm going to guess. So since I have this piece that we can't use, I'm going to throw it in here. And we're going to cut out the holes with it in the exact places that they need to be so we can see how it fits. So we want 5.65 or 5.75. We're going to take all these off. And we're going to bring back our piece here. Where did our piece go? There it is. I'm going to refresh. This is definitely taking longer than I expected. Yeah, and that's one thing that the guy that I talked to about kerf suggested was to just sacrifice some material and cut out, and that's why I did the prototype, because I figured, well, if the prototype works, then everything else should work. Unfortunately, that's not the way it happened. Yes, it definitely does, Ken. It definitely takes longer than we always expect. I appreciate you guys hanging in there with me while I try to troubleshoot this live. So what I'm doing is I'm lining up the piece I had cut versus the piece that I want to change. So I am going to make a copy of this and we're going to call this edit so I don't get these two mixed up. we're going to release that compound path. And select the whole layer. And move it to where it should be aligned. And then we're going to take our little cuts here. All right, Jack. Hey, thanks for stopping in, man. I appreciate it. Hopefully, you got a little something out of it besides watching me screw up some pieces of wood and a piece of acrylic. But I will get this finished up, hopefully in the next cut or two. So we're going to grab both of these pieces. We're going to raise them up so we can get a nice cut and still have space. And now we're going to take both of these and we're going to adjust them one at a time. So this one first, so 6.70. And 6.70, because we stated that that should be 5.70. Almost messed up again, didn't I? 5.7. Yeah. Thanks, Ken. It put my mind there for a second. That's why I wrote it down. So we know that these are 5.7. And I'm going to type that in here. 5.7. Engrave. We're just going to do this one. Grabbing the wrong thing. There we go. So 5.7. We're going to zoom in here. Make that even smaller. Now, we are going to take 5.7, drag it down to this group. And we want to make sure that this is turned off because we don't want to cut the big piece. We just want to cut the two pieces. Verify that they are 5.7. Now see, what's interesting is one is 36.54 and one is 36.12 on the length. But that could be, I'm not worried about the length. I think the length is good. So let's double check this. That looks good. Process. Start. if I did my due diligence correctly, I put these in the exact same spot. Or close to where I can fit this piece in. So we got 5.7. Let's flip this camera back. So that would be these top ones. Ta-da! I mean, there's just it's a slight. So maybe we could even drop that to 5 points. We're at 5.7. And we said 5.65 was super tight, if I remember correctly. I got that piece right here. That's this top one. Yeah, that thing's super tight. So yeah, maybe 5.65. I mean, that's in there. So get our wood. Don't think I can get another piece. Ooh, it's gonna be tight. That's gonna be too tight. So we can get another piece right there. Clamp this down. Down this side. All right. So let's go back. Hey Ken, you have a good one, man. Yeah, I mean it's it's trial and error. Only once have I actually hit it on the first try, so it is what it is. We'll keep going here. So we're going to refresh the background. We're going to delete the closed view. And we're going to do 5.65. So lock it, turn it off. And then this one. Is the compound. And I'm going to edit the compound. .65. Forgot to undo my aspect ratio. 5.65. 5.65. Done. I'm going to move this entire thing over, get it as close to this as possible. Go in for the close shot. Yeah, looks like we need to come up with it. Close shot it over here. You look good there. Exceeded the maximum measurable thickness. Huh? There we go. That's way thicker than I thought it was going to be. Let's measure it here. Why does the measurement keep going up? That board isn't bowed or anything. Okay. There, got it. Here we go. So if you're just joining us, we have cut out acrylic, and we have found that our kerf or our hole was larger than what I had expected. When I did the prototype out of basswood, it fit perfect. Loved it. When I did the actual out of acrylic, it did not fit perfect. It was loose. So we've been trying to adjust this, and hopefully we got it this time. So I'm just going to pop this out here with a pair of tweezers. Just to get these up. So we played around with some different sizes, and this should be the 5.65, which should fit perfectly down in there. Maybe it needs to go this way. And this is a friction fit, so it will be tight. I don't think I'm getting it in there straight. I think that's part of the problem. It fits. It's just real snug. Like, real snug. There we go. Got one part in. I think we just need to man, it's just off by a frog hair. It looks like my holes moved. Yeah, something ain't right. All right. Why did this move? Let's which one do I do? I edit this one. I have too many deals. Okay, there's 5.65. And that's 35.57. Three, 6, 112, 3, 6, 5, 4, 3, 6, 112. Okay, I think I have my issue. This should be 3, 6, 112. 36.112. For whatever reason, that moved. So how do I fix that now? Save as version 4. And then we're going to bring in version 3. I may have to do some other editing here. That may take longer than I expected. So if you're still out there watching and you're bored to tears, I'm sorry. I'm trying to hurry this up here, but for whatever reason. All right. So what I'm doing is I'm going back to my original file and checking 3654. Three, 6, 5, 4, 3, 6, 5, 4. Okay. And we want to 5.65. 5.65. Yeah, see, it's changing those too. So So 5.65. 5.65. So now did it change them again? Nope. Well, it did on that one. So 3654. 3654. And we're going to turn this off. You're going to see my fiance walk in here in a minute. Black walnut. $60.20. Refresh background. Sorry, you guys have been watching my head the entire time. Let me add this back to stage here. All right, so close shot. So what I'm doing is I'm just trying to get this set up, hopefully where it cuts correct. And my hope is that the size will translate to the acrylic. All right. So now we're going to delete close view. We're going to double check these. 5.65. See, that one's at 6.15. We want this to be 5.65. 5.65, 5.65, done. Aimed measure. Process. Start. So hopefully we can get this going. So let's see here. All right, so this is 5.65 test fit. Success. And it is snug. Boom. No wiggle. So we're going to cut the same piece out of acrylics. It's all learning experience, folks. I mean, it just is. There is no... I don't know of anybody that can say, I have the secret sauce that I can measure something once and cut it once and it'll be perfect every time. And maybe there is somebody out there that can do that. I can't do that, apparently. But I think that also comes with experience. And like I said, this is my third or fourth acrylic cut. So, you know what? That's just the way it is. I'll get better. Just like everybody gets better at stuff. Okay. Let's add this back to stage. Refresh background. We have our acrylic in here now. Close shot. And what I'm doing is I'm just checking to make sure I got this as close as I can to the edges so I can make sure I'm not wasting more acrylic than I need to. We're at 5.65, 5.65. I'm going to bump this up to 5.7 on the acrylic. Actually, 5.69. Oh, did I just mess that up again? Like I did. All right. .69. 5.69. Yep, that one messed up again. Okay, that should work. That'll give us just a tiny bit of room for error. I'm going to, wish I had a piece of paper. We're just going to put this in here and do an aimed measure. Confirm. Got it. All right, boys and girls. Kids are out playing for sure. It's just me. Nobody's on there with me. There's one person watching right now. Huh? I can't hear what you're saying. It's live. Sorry, guys. Had to talk to my beautiful fiance there for a second. So what I'm doing is I've adjusted this again and cutting it. And I'm going to save this as acrylic. And we are going to remove this. And again, if you have any questions, ask them in the chat. I know this is running way, way longer than I thought it was going to. We ran into some kerf issues. That was quite honestly unexpected. So I did a prototype. The prototype fit snug, fit perfect, but it was all out of 3mm basswood. I used the exact same file, exact same settings, cut out of 3mm walnut and 6mm green glass acrylic, and they didn't fit. So now I think I have it solved, and we're about ready to find out. I just cut the walnut piece and it fit. I just cut the acrylic piece. I'm going to clean it up before I try to test fit it in case I can't get it back off. So I just use alcohol wipes, basically, that you use to clean your kitchens or whatever, just to get the soap residue from the Dawn dish soap off. And then I just wipe it down. So we get it nice and clean. Just use a microfiber. That way you don't scratch the acrylic. Because it would suck to go through all that and then end up scratching the acrylic. Okay, nice and clean. So, moment of truth. Make sure I got it on the right side here, because this does have a side to it. One of these is longer. One of these tabs is longer than the other. And there we go. It is slightly loose. I probably went just slightly too far. But you know what? I think if I put a dab of glue in there, it will be perfect. So this does it is loose at the bottom. So I probably just went slightly too far. I probably should have kept it at the 5.65. But you know what? Everything else lines up. So I'm just going to use a little bit of glue that you probably will never see. And that is the product. Done with the P2S live. We went from the prototype to messing up a piece of acrylic and a piece of wood, and now we have a finished product. 2 hours later, but sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles and the stuff rolls. So let me clean up my area slightly here so I can get you some better shots of this. Bear with me for a moment here. And it really was down to the kerf, and which is the thickness of the materials. Even though I used 6mm basswood for the mock-up, it was off on the 3mm walnut. It was off on the 6mm acrylic for the tabs, the slots. So that is something to definitely keep in mind. You're going to have to do some testing with the actual material that you're using. Yes, you can mock up a prototype, and yes, it would look great, but once you try to put it all together, it may not. So let me move my camera here. And whoop, there it fell. You tighten this back up, and then we will zoom in here. So there is the piece, and I'll put something white behind it or something. Here, let's do this. So there's our piece, and yes, it looks back, or no, it looks fine on the camera. So in recap, what we had to do this, what seems like a simple project. Let me zoom this back out and get it back on me. Okay, so what we had to do, close this down here, is we designed our file. We did the prototype. Everything fit good with 6mm basswood on the prototype. We then went to cut. And in hindsight, what we should have done is cut this acrylic piece first, because that has the tabs. But we also cut the acrylic piece for the base at the same time, and it didn't fit. It was loose. We also cut the walnut, and it was loose. So we had to figure out how to tighten them up. And so what I did is I just started squeezing the vertical parts of those slots until it fit. So I started at 6.5. I ended up going at 5.6 in order to get it to fit. So that's almost an entire millimeter difference. So definitely read up, learn about kerf. I thought I had the understanding. I didn't. But in essence, I was able to use the scraps that I had on hand in order to save more waste. I still had a little waste. I had 2 pieces of walnut that are wasted, but now I can use this for other slots to do other measurements. I also had 1 piece of acrylic that is wasted, but again, I can use this to cut out other things. So is it really a waste? You always learn something. So again, in order to do this piece, we engraved the words first, and we had to mirror them. So the front of this is completely smooth. The back is where you feel the etching. Okay. That's why you mirror it. Then we cut the base pieces, and this is a friction fit. Okay. This thing's not coming out of there. Okay. Nothing. So now this piece is a little loose, but I'm not going to cut another piece when I can just apply a couple dabs of clear Gorilla Glue, and it's going to be on the underside anyway, so it'll be fine. So there you go. 2 hours into it. Some issues, some resolutions, a lot of good feedback in the channel from Jack and Ken and everybody. Appreciate y'all being here. Sorry to take up so much of your time on your Friday afternoon, but hopefully you learned something. Hopefully you saw some of the trials and tribulations that come with laser engraving and laser cutting. It's not all cut and dry. Yes, you will get some files that are just boom, dead on, no issues, 1 cut and you're good. I designed this file myself, so I didn't have the knowledge of the kerf of the holes and how different thicknesses affect that. And so that's where my hang up was. So I definitely need to do more research when I'm designing my own files on the kerf. But most of the files that you're going to get is going to need some adjustment depending on your laser. So again, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me. Make sure to hit that like and subscribe. Help support the channel. Once we get to 1,000 subscribers, we will be doing a really cool giveaway. So I appreciate the support. I hope you all have a good Friday and have a great weekend. And until next time, laser something cool. See y'all.